Hello, everyone. Hi, and welcome to Loki Loves Inktober and our very first webinar. I'm really excited to have you here, and I'm so excited to see we've got some people joining us on Zoom. So I'm just going to let everybody in. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm so pleased you can join us this evening. Before we get started, I'd just like to thank everyone for their support and for posting your beautiful artworks. I've been blown away and been kept very busy because I've had so many of them coming through. I absolutely love it. So make sure you pop over to Loki Loves Art or Remember the Wild and check out our stories to see all the amazing art that's been created by our artists. I'm so excited to see what's coming. I mean, that was day one and wow, it was amazing. We're going to be joined by our guests very shortly. I'm just going to give everybody a second just to join in. Okay. Lovely. So it looks like we're live and everything's going well. Thanks so much for your patience. So Loki Loves Inktober, for anybody that might be tuning in and doesn't really know, is a 31-day artistic journey where we challenge ourselves to try and create every day as often as we can. And this year our theme is shorebirds and wetlands, and we're discovering and learning and getting all of these new understandings as to how these wonderfully diverse group of migratory birds come to Australia to feed. And of course, we've got some shorebirds that are native to Australia as well. So we're learning a lot over these 4 weeks, and we've got a wonderful theme that's broken down week by week. So we get to really understand the ecology of the area and the challenges our shorebirds are facing. What's wonderful about that is we also have an amazing speaker with us today who's going to be able to share so much of her knowledge on beach nesting birds, because this week's theme is beach nesting birds. Okay, we have here. So let's start the session off. Thanks so much for joining. And I'd like to welcome you to our webinar this evening. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the many lands on which we are joining from today. I'm joining from the lands of the Barong people of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respects to their elders, past and present. If you know which land you're tuning in from today, we would love for you to share it in the chat. We'd also like to extend our respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that may be joining us today. I'm just going to open up the gallery so you can see everybody. Welcome to our very first creative conversation session for Loki Loves Inktober, Shorebirds and Wetland Challenge. I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for coming along. This is going to be the first of our 4 events, and we'll be running them across Inktober to dive deeper into the science behind our weekly themes while we draw one of the prompts together. Today is Hooded Plover. We've got prompt number 2, and I'm very excited to dive in. It's a real cutie. So each time we'll start with a bit of a discussion of the day's prompt with both the artist and our expert. This is a chance to hear about the prompt and important features. Oh, something's happening with my Zoom, so sorry. No. I've got a bit of an issue, I think, with my internet, so I'm really sorry about that. Hopefully it's coming through okay. Yes, so each time we'll start with a bit of a discussion of the day's prompt with both the artist and our expert, and this is a chance to hear about the prompt's important features to look out for when we're making our own creation, and then we can all get drawing and creating while Cathy from Remember the Wild chats to our expert about the week's theme. And then hopefully we'll have time about 6:40, so about 40 minutes in, and we'll ask how you're getting on with your work. And I'll show mine as well, because I'll be drawing along. I haven't started my day 2 prompt yet, so this is going to be a great fun way to start. And we're going to give everyone the opportunity to ask the artist and our expert questions about the prompt theme. Then we'll finish with the details for sharing your artworks and what's going to be happening at our next event. So please allow me to introduce you to the rest of the Loki Loves Inktober team for 2023. Just make sure everybody's up there. Yes, they are. Fantastic. Hi. We've got Cathy, which you may remember from Remember the World, Cathy Cavallo. She's been amazing, and I can't thank you enough for all your hard work. We have Genevieve Lamb from Remember the World. She's our Remember the Wild's artist in residence. She is absolutely fabulous, and I love her connection to nature, and I know you will too. So if you haven't met her before, you're going to have fun tonight. She's going to be drawing for us. She's going to be our on-screen artist today. Cathy's director of Remember the Wild, and we'll be running logistics in the background, as well as interviewing our special guest, Dr. Sonia Sánchez from Birdlife Australia. Welcome. Our 4th Loki Loves Inktober 2023 team member is the incredible Millie Formey from Wing Threads. Unfortunately, Millie's unable to make it tonight, but she will be our special guest for week 3 on our Creative Conversations session. So please make sure to tune in for that. Now, we've just got a little bit of housekeeping to make sure things are running smoothly. It would be wonderful if you can someone can just give me a thumbs up to make sure that you're coming through okay and everything's fine. Awesome, thanks for that. So first up, this is being live streamed for Facebook. The recording will be shared on Loki Loves website, that's lokiloves.com. So please don't share any personal details during the Zoom or any information that you wouldn't want publicly available. If you prefer not to have your face recorded in the video, please switch your camera off. And if you don't mind, leaving your mic on mute until later on. And of course, we'd love to see your drawings, so you can pop your camera back on when we do that so you can share your artworks. We also ask that everyone keeps themselves on mute because of the background noise. During the evening, Cathy will invite you to ask questions and share your artworks. Please click the raise hand button to let Cathy know that you'd like to contribute during one of these sections, and she'll invite you to turn on your microphone and share your question or story. Please feel free to ask questions and chat with each other in the chat box. I'm also going to put a reference up in the chat box so that we can all have a look at what we're going to be drawing today. You're welcome to use that reference, or of course you can use any that you like. And please remember, this is an all ages event, and we have some wonderful young people present with us in Zoom and on Facebook. So I think it's a good time to dive in. Let me just move box. Hi, now I can see you all. So Genevieve, I'd love to have a chat with you. This week we're exploring all things beach nesting birds, and today we've got the amazing hooded plover. Now, the hooded plover has some really interesting nesting habits, which is a little bit different. They also hunt by sight, catching insects and prey along the tide line, which I found was really, really fascinating for a foraging style for shorebirds. Yeah. So I'd love to know your thoughts on the plover and what you found out so far.
Well, my research has been mostly visual so far. I tend to look first and then learn a little bit later. So I've been really studying what exactly they look like, how I can visually communicate that so that when I do draw it, it actually looks like one. that's the goal, isn't it?
So it is.
I've been looking at all sorts of different poses, all sorts of different photos that I could find of the hooded plover, and also of the chicks. I don't know if anyone's had a look at any of the chicks yet, but oh my goodness, they're adorable. So I will be featuring, yeah, there we go. I'll be featuring a couple of little chicks in my illustrations today as well, because they are a tiny little fluff ball. They are incredibly cute. So most of my research has been visual. I am hoping to learn a little bit more along the way, though, tonight, maybe, about the hooded plover itself. Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic. It has been a lot of fun finding them, and the visuals are just amazing. Getting that right reference so that you can really translate and get the emotions that you want across, not just the actual image of the bird, which is so beautiful. And I've been doing quite a bit of research regarding the plovers, and I'm just blown away by just everything about them. And they are the cutest birds. Can't get over it. Um, so let's throw things over to Cathy to introduce tonight's special guest, and I can get started on my own drawing.
Thanks, Vanda. Hi, everyone. I am so excited to introduce you all to Dr. Sonia Sánchez. She's a member of Birdlife Australia's beach nesting bird team. So she is expertly equipped to answer all our questions about hoodies and other beach nesting birds tonight. She is a PhD trained ecologist who started her research on penguins, but has moved now onto birds that are more on the beach more of the time. She's a project officer for Birdlife Australia's Coastal Birds beach nesting birds program, and as part of that, she's researched the nesting disturbance for hooded plovers, which are one of our most threatened coastal shorebirds. Sonia and I are friends from way back, and for a very long time I've known that she's been a plover lover. And before she got involved as a member of Birdlife staff, she actually worked for a long time as a volunteer on their Hooded Plover protection project, which has people all around Australia working as guardians for plovers on their local beaches. So, Sonia, before we get started, I'd love to know what it is that drew you to beach nesting birds in the first place and why you're working with them today.
Yeah, thanks, Cathy, and thanks everyone for having me here. What drew me into hooded plovers, I guess they weren't penguins, and I was doing my PhD. I needed a side project. Now that's, I mean, probably part of it, yes, but I think it was mainly when we were living on Phillip Island doing our PhD, because we were so lucky to live so close to the beach. And we were going to the beach often. Like I saw those birds, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, what are they doing there? Because we have plovers in Spain as well on the beach, and I grew up going to the beach there, but I've never noticed them, never seen them, so I didn't know about those birds. And yeah, like a member of one of my colleagues today, Dan Lees, went to, he was working at Phillip Island at the time, and he was working with the hooded plovers, and he gave a training workshop, which I attended, and that's how I became a volunteer, and I just got hooked.
Yep, totally hooked. Yeah, well, I'm going to dive into some questions for Sonia about hoodies, about beach nesting birds, which is obviously our topic for the week. Because over Inktober, we're going to have a different theme every week to explore shorebirds from around Australia in their different habitats. But I think that what we should do quickly is just check that everyone's got their creative materials, because we're going to start making. Today, I'm just going to be using my trusty pencil, and actually I better turn off that blurring because you'll never be able to see my picture, but I get really nervous when I'm trying to draw something. So I'm just going to try and sketch really quickly and try not to go back and edit things too much. I'm just going to have a go and see if I can learn some of the features. Sonia, would I be right in thinking you have your watercolor pencils out? Because I know you love drawing with pencils and watercolors.
I think it was going to be safer because I'm very close to the computer to not do watercolor. I'm just going to do normal pencils, color pencil. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And Genevieve, you're going to be our on-screen artist today, and I can see you've got your iPad Surface out. What are you drawing with today?
Yep, so all this little bad boy, my digital pencil, love it. Very mess-free for me, and very able to do it wherever I am. I've been sort of sketching a little bit for the coming week while on the couch or while out at a cafe, so that's been really nice for me. I do like working with sort of more pencil and watercolor when I can, but when I can't, this is absolutely it. So I'll be on Procreate today just to give anyone some software tips if they want them, but yeah, that's me.
Cool. And before we get into maybe some of their ecology and stories about these birds on our beaches, I wondered if Genevieve, you wanted to ask Sonia any questions about like key features that would help in our drawings.
Yeah, actually. So if you could talk about their little beak a little bit, because their beak is absolutely tiny. I think that's such a distinct feature of the hooded plover. You know, if you get that wrong, it's not going to look quite right. So why is that so small? Just for a start, can you answer that? Is that a weird question?
But why is it small? I mean, I'm not sure. I guess like it goes with the size of the bird as well. But yeah, like plovers, they feed by probing their bill. Well, one of the techniques, the strategies that they have is like they get small insects, invertebrates that are in the sand and on the sand. So they just like probe with the bill, and it doesn't need to be very long because they don't need to get too deep in the sand. So probably that's why it's not a very long bill. So there are other small shorebirds, like the redneck stint that it was the prompt from yesterday. I believe that in proportion it might be like it's a smaller bird even than the hooded plover, but maybe in proportion the bill is a little bit longer if you compare it with the size of the head, which is how a lot of people like compare bill sizes in shorebirds. But yeah, it's very small because it doesn't need to go very deep for the things that they eat.
Amazing. All right, that was my big question, if I'm honest. So I'm glad that that's been answered.
Lee, can I tune in with a question? I've been trying to figure out their feet. So shorebirds' feet are really different from a lot of other birds' feet for obvious reasons, because they're on the short line. But some needs bend in, some needs bend out. I was trying to figure it out.
So what's the question then? Like, what are you trying to figure out? Like,
Yeah, so there's a big difference. For some have a back toe, and the way the knee joint moves is a bit different. I don't think it's called the knee joint, sorry.
Yeah, no, I don't think it would be the knee, but in case, yeah, like the toes, so they wouldn't have, if you think of birds of prey, for example, of ravens, they would have the 3 toes and then, yeah, like this back claw. So shorebirds don't have, or yeah, most of them, they don't have that back. And when you see the tiny footprints on the beach, you actually only see like, yeah, these 3 toes. So you would just see, yeah, the 3. Whereas if you see prints of a raven that it's been on the beach, or other smaller woodland birds that they can also go to the beach, you would see the 3 and then a back one. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, because I noticed yesterday with the stint, it has a tiny little back toe, but the hooded plover doesn't.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, I think you're on mute there, Cathy. There
I
we go.
was on mute. I did one part of my 2 jobs. But no, that's great, Sonia. Okay, so what we're going to do now is if everybody wants to start drawing a little bit, maybe Sonia, I know that you draw these birds quite a bit actually. Have you got any tips for maybe starting to do a drawing like this? And maybe Genevieve, you can weigh in as well.
Yeah, just draw a stocky bird, because they are small, but hooded plovers are quite stocky. So if you, I'm not sure if you are using a reference, like a photo for a reference, but you can see that they have pretty like bulky bodies. So I would say like I would start with 2 circles, almost like a small circle for the head, and then oval that it's like about, I don't know, like maybe double the size or 3 times the size of the head. So that would be like the main 2 parts of the drawing, and then just add a tail and 2 sticks, and then you're done.
Yeah, it really looks like they lack a neck.
Yeah, and they're very, very stocky, and they have this feature besides the bill that was pointed out before, which is very like striking red with a black tip bill. They also have two other features that are pretty striking as well, like this red ring around the eye, and then the white back, like the back of the neck, that is called nape. So that white nape, that's present in all breeding stages. Like even the small chicks have that white back of the neck, which is also like a feature, yeah, that you can like look out on the beach. Like sometimes you see that you can't see the bird because it's hunched, it's sitting, but sometimes you can see the back of the neck, which sometimes as well is just cuttlefish, and they trick you. but yeah, that's the feature that it's present in all breedings, in all stages, in all ages.
Oh, that's really interesting to know. I didn't realize they carried that through all the way. So that's pretty cool. I can see that Genevieve has started a bit there. Genevieve, did you want to share a little bit about how you've started?
Yeah, of course. So I might take a step back here. I am doing it a little bit tricky this year. I've decided to try and combine everything from 1 week into like one major illustration. So this is my very rough sketch. You kind of get a sense of which bird may be which, but here's our little mimic hooded plovers for the week. So from there, I've just used a reference and basically outlined them a little bit more clearly for myself. And then using a reference today, I'm going to start pretty much just coloring in, tidying up as I go. I don't like to spend too much time on the sketch because I know I'm just going to color and color and color and the sketch is going to disappear. So for me, you know, this is just to get the right shapes, the right idea, and then I'll work on it from there. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. My little running hooded plovers.
They are extremely cute. All right, well, we'll let you get drawing, and I will swap back between Sonia and Genevieve's screens so we can see a bit of what Genevieve's drawing. Sonia, I don't know if you wanted to share, we might talk a little bit about hoodies and beach nesting birds and things now while everyone has a go at some drawings. So I don't know if you've got any pictures that you would like to share
yes.
or we can leave it on.
Screen. Yeah.
Yep.
I can show just to show you, yeah, what I meant before with the, let's see if I can share my screen. Okay, let me just I can see. Oh, I haven't used Zoom in a bit. Okay, let's see. Yeah, just to show different stages of the birds. I have here a PowerPoint, so you can see. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can now. That's great.
Yeah, so we have here an adult and a juvenile, so we can see how the juvenile doesn't have still like that black hood that they that black head essentially that they develop a bit later, but we can see how it has like the juvenile as well has that white nape that I was talking about. And then here we have a chick, which we were saying that they're very, very tiny and very cute, and that those are just like, I don't know, their size, like it's not bigger than your fist palm. So this chick would be like about 2-3 days old, and again, like you can see the back of the neck, how it's wide. And there is even more variation into this black hood. So that's here, that's what we call a salt and pepper head. So this is a sub-adult that is not a year old yet, and they start having like this mottled head. So if you see a bird with this coloration on the beach, like it's fine, it's completely healthy, like it's just sub-adult.
Awesome. And I mean, yeah, so they nest right on the beach, right? Like what does their nest look like?
I'll share again. So their nest is really just a scrape on the beach. if we can call it a nest, like it's really just a very, very, very shallow scrape, and they lay their eggs there. Usually like anything between 1 and 3 eggs per clutch. And I'll bring up just for people to have an idea when I say that it's a scrape. So those are 2 nests. So if you can see, hopefully, so that's a nest there.
Yep.
And that's another nest, and that's another nest there. So that's just to show like how well camouflaged the eggs are, and how easy would it be like to just walk. Because they can nest anywhere above the high tide mark. So if we didn't, which one of the things that we do at Birdlife on some beaches, like we erect fences to protect those nests, because otherwise it would be just so easy for someone to walk and accidentally step on a nest, for example.
Yeah, they are very, very well hidden. And I've definitely seen those fences they always tend to be on the beaches that everyone wants to go to. They seem to really love the same types of beaches as us. Do you know why that is?
So they in the eastern subspecies, so in South Australia, Victoria, southern New South Wales, and in Tasmania, they nest on mostly ocean beaches, and that's because they need open areas, like so to see the threats coming. So beaches really provide that open space, besides obviously having the food that they need, but beaches provide that open space for them to see threats coming from everywhere, because these birds, they don't really stay on the nest to defend. If there is a predator coming, they actually, when there is a predator coming, like they would leave the nest and try to lead a predator away from the nest. So that's why they need to see all the threats coming from everywhere.
So they're trying to distract predators away.
Yeah, rather than staying and fighting them. Because I mean, they're pretty tiny birds.
Yeah.
They're pretty feisty though. Like they can get pretty territorial, particularly when they are starting to breed. Like you can see them sometimes like getting on silver gulls if they are around their territory. So they are feisty, but overall they would try to distract predators away.
Yeah, and is that common amongst other beach nesting birds or shorebirds?
The tiny red-capped plover does that as well. Like if people, it's red-capped plover is about the size of the redneck stint that you were drawing yesterday, so a little bit smaller than the hooded plover, much more widespread. So hooded red-capped plovers, they also nest in salt lakes, and they have the same strategies. Pied oyster catchers and sooty oyster catchers, they can be a little bit more vocal than hooded plovers, but overall they also try to sometimes distraction. So if you walk near a nest of a pied oyster catcher and the bird is sitting on the nest, when you walk past, you're gonna flash the bird and the bird is gonna leave the nest.
Yeah, and what about the babies for some of these beach nesting birds? Do they hang around with the nest when they hatch, or what do they do?
Stop sharing my screen. So the chicks really need to I might share, see if I can share this video with you. So just to show you what the chicks do. So they have to actually forage, they have to look for their food on their own
From the first day.
Sorry?
From the first day?
Well, from the first hours, really.
Whoa.
They're very, very precautious. So they leave the nest and start moving and foraging along, the whole beach, and especially water's edge, since like within hours of hatching. And the parents are always close, like near them, and they let them know if there are dangers coming, so the chicks can go and hide. But they have to use the whole beach to look for their own food. So that's why, and they can't fly until they are about 7 It's 35 days old, so 5 weeks. Also, that's why they're very, very vulnerable to predators and even like our dogs if they are off leash, because a dog would chase them and they can't fly, and yeah, they're very, very vulnerable to really anything. And sometimes like you can even especially when they are that small, like you could even step on one, because to hide they just play dead. They don't move because they're so well camouflaged. Like their best strategy is not moving, so a predator wouldn't be able to find them. So yeah.
Wow,
Let's stop sharing my screen. Yeah,
that is amazing.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get drawing. I'm going to duck in quickly.
But I can talk at the same time.
Oh wow, that is skillful.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick look at what Genevieve is up to, and I'll yeah. So you've got started in there, Genevieve?
Yeah, just start straight away blocking out colors. So I start with shapes and then basically just color in to begin with. Once I've got some solid color blocks in, it starts to become a little bit clearer, and then I can start thinking about a little bit more of the detail. I'll start thinking about sort of like these tones on the wings here, and then probably towards the end I'll start thinking about the feet and the bills. But for now it's just getting the bases in and then working out sort of the tones and the details once that's in.
Yeah, they're actually quite a good bird for us to do today with like some real block areas of color and stuff. I'm trying to draw in the background, but I'm not very good at drawing and talking at the same time. But the color bits, that makes it recognizably a hoodie, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as soon as I've added the black hood in, that's sort of become very recognizable, which is good.
Yeah, understandably. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see as far as I've got, so I'm just trying to block in the shape as well and figure out where all the dark parts are.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful bird. It really is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, sorry, Vanda, can you show us again, because I accidentally was spotlighting Genevieve.
Let's see if I can get it up.
There it is. Yeah, so you blocked out some areas of color and things. Great shape.
Really want to get that nice dark white against the dark on the back of the nape and the neck. I think that's going to be a big. Sonia said it was a good distinguishing feature.
Nice.
Yeah, it's funny. I've watched these birds quite a bit with Sonia, and I've never thought about that. So I'm going to be really looking out for that white nape now, because obviously you go straight for the hood is what it's called, hooded plover. But
I mean, I guess like white naped plover wouldn't be as there are other white naped birds. But yeah, I guess like the black hood is much more striking, especially on the when you see the bird on the beach. But but it's and I just learned that about that white nape when I was working at Birdlife and working like giving training volunteers, and that's how I also learned about the white nape. Like I didn't know when I was on the beach as a volunteer looking at the birds that was a feature that stay since they are since they hatch the chicks.
Cool. So I've managed to pin you both to the screen, so I'm feeling very clever about that. But Sonia, I mean, so we're talking about the hoodie today, but the other thing we also want to talk about is our whole theme for the week being beach nesting shorebirds. I wondered if you could just tell us a little bit about that group in general, and whether they're resident or migratory, and just some common features and things like that.
Yeah, sure. So what we call beach nesting birds, I guess they are our resident shorebirds. So that means they are shorebirds that live all year round in our coast along Australian coastline. So we have the hooded plover, we have the red-capped plover, which I mentioned before, which is the most widespread resident shorebird in Australia. So it's not only found along the coast, but also inland in salt lakes. Then sooty oystercatcher and pied oystercatcher, which the sooty is all black, much bigger shorebird than the hooded plover, and the pied oystercatcher is black and white. both species have a very like striking red longer bill. Then up in northern New South Wales, Queensland, and along the north coastline, we have the beach-stem curdler as well, which is another like very large, for being a shorebird, like very large shorebird, like about 1 kilo of a bird. So yeah, but very shy and solitary, like eats mainly crabs, and they have this massive bill to smash the crabs that they eat. Which one am I missing as well? And then there are other like seabirds, I guess, like beach, that they are also technically beach nesting birds, or we consider them beach nesting birds, like the fairy tern, which is a very small seagull-like for people. Yeah, maybe if you don't know what a tern is, but yeah, very, very small seabird, very endangered in Victoria, that also breeds on the beach in small colonies. Yeah, and similar features is that they all have like this characteristic of making nests that are really just shallow scrapes, and they lay their eggs there, and they incubate them. And it's really important that we don't disturb them when they are incubating, because as I mentioned before, like they just leave the nest, and the longer the parents are of the nest, the more vulnerable are the eggs to weather or predators coming and taking the eggs. So they all face pretty similar threats.
Yeah, so I guess so you were saying that they tend to nest above the high water line, I guess, so their eggs don't wash away. What are some of the ways that we can make sure that we care for them when we're at the beach?
Yeah, so hooded plovers and yeah, other beach nesting birds, they would be nesting now. So their time to breed is between August, September, all the way until February, March. So anytime in spring and summer, there can be eggs on a beach above the high tide mark. So really very simple things, like if you are on the beach, just try and walk along the water's edge, because or on wet sand, that's going to be safer. So you're probably not gonna like encounter a nest there. So stick to the water's edge. Don't go and play, like go up dunes, because you are maybe gonna destroy some valuable habitat for those birds, or disturb a nest, a bird that is incubating a nest. If you go with your dog to the beach, if you know it is a Hooded Plover beach, or other beach nesting bird is nesting there, keep the dog on the lead, because dogs like to explore, and who can blame them? Like there are a lot of smells on the beach, so a dog off the leash, like even if it's the most well-behaved dog, they can find something that gets their curiosity, and they can get a bird, or get an eat some eggs that they find, or even just disturb the bird without knowing. Like everything for these little birds is a threat, and the bird doesn't know if your dog is gonna behave well or not. So yeah, keep dogs on the leash. And then if you do go to a beach that has some ropes, like fences and signs about hooded plovers, just stay away from those fences, because that means that there is probably a nest within that fence.
Cool. So, I mean, I guess probably everyone here would like to know if there are ways that we can like see them on the beaches, and places that might be the best place to see them, and what could we look out for? Yeah, that might be signs. Yeah.
So a good way to look for them, I guess, if you're on a beach that is suitable habitat, and they might be, so they're on ocean beaches along Victorian and South Australian coast, you might see the footprints first along on the dry sand or wet sand. Like don't look on the dry sand, because you know that there can be nests there. But if you're walking if you're walking along the water's edge, like sometimes you can see first the footprints, which are like this, just really like the 3 toes, very, very tiny. So maybe like the size of I don't know, like a 5-cent coin or something like that. Yeah, very, very tiny 3 toes, and usually on a straight line sometimes, or like moving a little bit. But yeah, you won't see a lot of prints because yeah, they often in pairs at this time of the year. And if you see those and you see that they're following a direction, you might have the birds in front of you. So then just look for movement. They're very tiny, so they're pretty hard to see without binoculars. But if you see the footprints, the chances are, and you're walking in the direction of the footprints, chances are that the birds are somewhere in front of you.
Yeah, cool. And if people wanted to get involved with Birdlife, maybe citizen science projects or anything like that, like are there ways that people can get involved with beach nesting birds?
Yeah, sure. So we have which is the team and the program that I work within. So the Beach Nesting Birds program started in 2006, working with community volunteers and land managers across Victoria. And the easiest way that people, like if people want to know more about it, like going to the Birdlife website, or we also have a Beach Nesting Birds volunteer hub, which has information about the different volunteer roles that we have, because obviously like different people have different interests. So for example, there are people that they might not be willing to go to the beach, or they don't, or they live far from a beach, but they might be interested in volunteering, like helping us with some office work or data management. So there are roles for people to help us with that kind of stuff. Then if people want to actually get some their hands on ground work, we train volunteers to monitor the birds and monitor the breeding success. So those are more specific roles that people need to follow, like of course very specific and strict guidelines to be able to make sure that we monitor the birds, but we don't disturb them while we do that. So all that information is in the Beach Nesting Birds hub, which I've seen that you've put the link in the chat. So if anyone is interested in any of the roles that we have, they can register their interest and then select the region that they would like to work. So maybe someone that lives in Port Fairy, they would volunteer on beaches around that area, obviously, rather than all the way in East Gippsland. So yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Sonia. Well, we've got 15 minutes left. I wondered if if anybody wants to share their artworks or where they're up to, and if anybody's got any questions for Sonia, I will just unpin everyone so that we can all see each other again. Remove spotlight. Remove spotlight. How are people going? I can see Genevieve, you are a speed drawer. I mean, obviously you're a professional, but
all of the uni courses that I did, basically it was like, here's your assignment, have it done by the end of the day.
Well, I'm sure that helps with getting rid of perfectionism.
Yes, yeah. Before that uni course, absolutely a perfectionist. After that uni course, like if I zoom right in on this, the line work is a big mess and there's lots of little bits that aren't coloured in, but I've kind of learned that just gives it so much character. It's all character.
Yeah, absolutely. Vanda, did you want to show us what you're up to?
Not get much further because I've been trying to get the knee right, and I'm going to be really loose and calm about it, and then I've realised I've just spent 20 minutes working on a knee.
So I'm going to tell you that, and actually it looks really good, but what it looks like a knee there is actually the bird's ankle, isn't it, Sonia? That's right. Yeah. So bird knees are hidden right up in their body. So they've got their ankle, and then those toes that come out. They're the same structure as us, but just elongated in different places. And I've poorly explained that, but.
I'm not done really well anatomy either, but you're right, Cathy. Like their knees are like in their bodies. Essentially, we can't see them for most birds, I think. Yeah.
Cool. Sonia, I mean, you've been talking the whole time. Did you manage to draw anything?
Well, yes, because I cheated and I started before like I am getting
cute.
yeah, so I'm
so
going to put
good.
some color in there. Yeah.
That's great. How about anybody who's joined us today? Does anybody want to show? You're welcome. Maybe put your hand up. Yep, Tina, would you like to show us? And you can go off mute if you like for a sec. Oh, I think because the background, if you turn your blurring off, that's the only annoying thing about this blurring background thing that usually works so well.
But if you put it in front of your face, but then we can't see your face.
Yeah, it didn't work for me before. It still stayed blurry. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
That's very pretty.
So are you using watercolors there, Tina?
Yeah, watercolor. I outlined it in watercolor pencil and then started coloring in.
I love it.
Good
Great
with
work.
the colours. Yep. And then I started another one at the bottom while I was letting the top one dry. But
Oh, beautiful.
the orange is the best bit, so I've just done the orange.
Yeah, I agree.
You've captured the face really, really well in that top
Yeah.
one. It's it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I thought it looked a bit pigeon-like actually.
No.
No, all right.
pretty good.
Okay. Thanks.
Anybody else want to share theirs? Amari. Oh, wow.
Maria, that's
Oh, wow.
gorgeous.
Shape is spot on.
I
Yeah.
love everybody seems to have got the droopy, there's just a slight droop to the end of the hoodie's bill. I reckon
Yeah.
that seems to be pretty key. Wow, Maria.
Oh, that is stunning.
Amazing.
So what are you working in there?
I used some fine line pens. I got myself a set with browns and greys and things, which is fun to work with, and a bit of color pencil just for the color for the quick one.
But that's quick. That's some very impressive quick drawings here. Anybody else?
Julia, Jodie, would you like to share it all?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
So
I'm
we've got
finished.
Julia first. Yep.
Sorry.
Sorry, I haven't finished, but
Oh, wow.
Wow.
but I think he looks like a pigeon.
And I love you've
Maybe
got the
they're just
reflection in there as well.
Maybe they're just a pigeon-looking bird because I'm seeing hoodies here, but they do have a little hunched appearance.
I think, yeah, and maybe like the body shape. Now that people are saying that, I mean, I'm only seeing hooded plovers in the drawings, but yeah, like it might be, yeah, maybe like that stocky body shape is a bit pigeon-like. Yeah, never thought about it, but yeah.
Jodie? Oh, it's gorgeous.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Fantastic.
Feather detail as well on the top is really nice.
Yeah, I love these
3
studies.
of them. And you've done all of those during this webinar.
Talk about quick. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've just got that's me, my whole thing. Although
See yours, Kathy?
I'm not good at multitasking, so I
Yeah, me neither.
yeah.
That's fantastic though. Well done.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask Sonia or even Genevieve and Vanda about hoodies, beach nesting birds, art, that type of art, not just all art, maybe? Julia's, I know you're clapping, Julia. I know you do have your hand up.
I meant to put my hand. Haven't used Zoom for a while. I just have a question about what beaches that that they would frequent around, other than Phillip Island in Victoria. Is there others or other ones?
Or the beaches on in Victoria, you're asking? Pretty much any ocean beach. There is yeah, so you would find them ocean beaches that have good amounts of sand because they need sand to breed. You find them sometimes foraging, like eating on rocky platforms, but they do need some sand and dunes to breed. So yeah, any ocean beaches. So all the way from East Gippsland, there is they're not in the beaches inside Port Phillip Bay most of the time. Yeah, shouldn't say they're not because they can be, but very, very rare. You're not gonna find them breeding within Port Phillip Bay or Western Port Bay. but other than that, and then what's that, the name of that long beach in Gippsland? Is it 90 Mile?
90 Mile
80
Beach?
miles, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so that seems to be a gap in there.
Ah,
Yeah, which you would think like there's a lot of sand in there, so why they're not there? Or if they are, they're in very like low numbers. Like I'm not sure if maybe there's not enough food. I don't know, but yeah. So anywhere from East Gippsland all the way to the border with South Australia, and really high numbers in like the highest density of them are between Warrnambool. So in Western Victoria, between Warrnambool and Yambak.
And so I find that really interesting. What is it about ocean beaches as opposed to bay beaches and things like that? Has it got to do with the food they're eating? I don't know if we've talked that much about food or.
Yeah, we haven't really talked much about food, but I'm not really sure. Like, I guess it would be food. They're very opportunistic feeders though, so they would eat really any insects or like small crustaceans that they find on and in the sand. I guess maybe ocean beaches, they have better habitat maybe for breeding, and then as well there is more maybe like more movement, or like there is more like sea rock, because that a lot of those insects, they are in the rock on the beach. But I guess like maybe more like the dune system is quite different on ocean beaches than on the bay. So but I'm not quite sure if or even if it's known why they wouldn't, because red-cap plovers do breed in on the Bellarine Peninsula, on the Port Phillip Bay side. Maybe disturbance as well. I'm not sure if actually, I will have to check if they've even been in the bay like before the bay started to get so busy. I don't think so. Because they're very like ocean, like here the eastern subspecies, they are ocean specialists. Like in Western Australia, like they in southwest of Western Australia, the western subspecies, they do use and breed salt lakes much more than they do here, which they often don't at all.
Interesting, really interesting. Is anybody I think we've got time for maybe one more question from anybody, and then Vanda's got some tips and updates for us before we finish up. And if no one,
question for you, Sonia.
yes.
As a project officer on Birdlife Australia's beach nesting program, what are some of the challenges that volunteers and project officers like yourself face when it comes to hooded plover and protecting their nesting habitats?
Oh, what are some of the challenges? There are, I guess, sometimes, probably the biggest challenge is changing or trying to change some people's behavior. Like most people, like once you talk to them and they know about the birds, like most people do try and want to do the right thing, but they just don't know about the birds. So I guess like trying to really like reach out and reach as many people as possible, so we can start seeing that changing behavior when people go to the beach. Because most of the time, like people just see the beach, I guess, as a playground, and everyone goes to one wing and like get their dog run off the leash, and because they are not aware that it's such a like critical habitat for threatened birds. Really like trying to change those behaviors, and then working in a coordinated manner, like with such a like a species that breeds in such a like large proportion of our coast, because the threats that these birds face in areas that are very populated and beaches that are very popular are very different to threats in maybe like more remote areas where people aren't an issue, but maybe foxes and other predators are other issues.
Yeah, Yeah, I can imagine the challenge is really hard because obviously if you don't know about them, you can't do anything, right? You can't do anything to help. So it's helping get the word out, making sure people are aware when they frequent beaches, that we know that there's nesting sites on those beaches and to be wary. And like you said before, walking, one thing I found that was a great hint was walk where the sand's wet, because birds don't nest on wet sand. So when you go to the beach and you're not sure where you should walk, if you walk where the sand's wet, you're generally safe. And I thought that was a really good tip.
Yeah, and also it's much easier to walk on wet sand.
Yeah.
Who wants to walk on this soft, dry sand anyway?
Yeah, I got a bad back, so not me. So yeah, that suited me great. That was a really great insight. Thanks so much for sharing that, because I'm always curious about the challenges that come up with such an in-depth role when you've got a species that's spread out so far. Thank you.
It's okay.
I've also just put a little BirdLife Australia link in the chat that people might want to look at and share. One of the things that we really want to do with, what Vanda does each year with Inktober, and what we want to do is to make sure that the things that we're learning and that art with it we're creating does help raise awareness for these species. So when you're sharing your posts, we'd love it, sharing your artworks to social media. We'd love it if you shared something you learned about the bird, or shared a way that different people can care for these animals in our environment as well, because then by doing that, our art becomes we become champions for nature amongst our friends and family, and that's really, really important. Okay, I'm going to remove some spotlights, and Vanda, do you want to tell us about what's coming up next?
Yes, I do. We've got lots of fun things coming up next. So with this week's theme, it's all about beach nesting birds, and I think we've learnt heaps tonight to help us not only in our drawings but also to become better and friendlier shorebird beachgoers. I know time's almost up, so I don't want to cram too much, but I'm just going to tell us what we've got coming up. So tomorrow we've got oyster catcher, and I'm really interested to jump into those. And then we've got these cutest little things that not everybody's going to agree with me, Australian sandhoppers. They kind of look like sand fleas, but when you see a really close look at them, they're super, super cute. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun trying to figure out how that's going to kind of play out for our prompt, and how we want them to work with the background, work with some birds looking for feed, how we're going to do that. On day 5, we've got the beach stone curlew, which is absolutely amazing. I love stone curlews. There's just something about their look that just makes me smile. Day 6, we've got golden kelp, which is going to be really interesting to hear the stories behind that. Day 7, we've got pippies, a shellfish most of us know from going to the beach. Or from great Italian pastas. And then day 8, we've got dogs on beaches, which is going to be a really interesting way to think about how us and our dogs interact when we're at the beach, and how much of a threat that we can be to shorebirds, but also what a wonderful thing we can be in helping protect them. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We also have
got our next event next week.
Thank you. Went completely blank there. We've got our next event next week, which is going to be amazing. So make sure you come along to that. We're going to be I've forgotten who our speaker is for next week. I'm so sorry. We've got Rowan coming in. Rowan Mott. Yes.
Yeah, we've got Dr. Rowan Mott coming in to talk about shorebirds in estuaries. And we'll be focusing on a lot of migratory shorebirds next week, I think. Yeah. I've put the links to all of that in the chat as well. So make sure you sign up. We'd love to have you along again, and bring some friends.
Thanks so much, Cathy. Cathy has dropped heaps of links in there. So anything that you want to know about beach and shorebirds, as well as our events, everything's in the chat box. And I'll post all of those into Facebook once the video is finished as well. Alrighty, so before everyone leaves, I just want to let you know how you can share your Loki Loves Inktober artworks over the next month, and how you can get involved in the challenge, and the details for our next session. So the details just been popped into the chat box, and it would be lovely if you can join us. It would make me so, so happy, and I've loved having you here today. So thank you so much for that. Now, we'd love you to join in our daily art challenge. You can find everything on lokiloves.com/Inktober 2023. So pop onto Loki Loves website or Remember the Wild, and everything is on there. So you'll easily be able to find your way around. And just remember, you don't have to take part every day. This is fun. It's about creating when you can, learning, sharing the amazing shorebirds that we draw, that we learn about, that we find in our area. You never know, you might go for a walk and spot some shorebirds around. So make sure you share those as well, because I'd love to see them. Upload your artworks onto social media with the hashtag Loki Loves Inktober 2023. People are already adding to it, and when you upload them, we'd love you to share something you've learned about the bird, animal, plant or threat that you've drawn, so that your community can learn about them too. Something that I've definitely learned, not just through running Loki Loves Inktober, but just from my own curiosity and observation, is that it's contagious. My friends, my family, everybody's got caught up in it now, and I get photos sent so many times a week from a friend or somebody I even know on social media going, oh, I saw this gum and I had to send it to you, or I saw this and I thought of you. And it's really, really nice. So upload your artworks to social media, Loki Loves Inktober 2023 on Facebook, on Twitter and on Instagram. And we've also set up a community art gallery for everyone to add to. So that's really fun. We haven't had that before. Thanks so much, Cathy, for getting that set up. It's on Padlet. It's really, really easy. I believe the link is in the chat box. Sorry, very dry throat.
All good.
It's really easy to add your artworks to as well. It's all set up in the themes, and it's a great way of reaching new people, getting to know other people, and seeing all the fantastic artworks that are coming in from the entire community. We would also love to see you back here next session. So we're here next week at 6 p.m. Friday the 13th, and it's all going to be about shorebirds and estuaries and other wetlands, and it's going to be so much fun. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We hope you've had as much fun tonight as we have. It's been beautiful seeing all your artwork. Before we go, Genevieve, would you like to show us what you're up to, or where you're up to? Oh, wow.
Yeah, getting there. Not quite finished, but we'll be soon.
I love them.
That's fantastic work.
Thanks.
I love the beaks. The beaks are so
Yeah.
cute. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. Have fun with shorebirds, and we'll see you all soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks so much for coming. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Samira, Julie, for sharing your art. Thank you, everybody.